Hello everyone and welcome back. We'll be assembling and animating and exploding our 1.4.1 suite improvements. At this point you should have the handle, you should have two sliders, two slider pins, a handle pin, and then your base. If you want to, you can go in and customize some of the things by right clicking and clicking on either appearance or physical material. Like if you want to change the colors or something like that, you can mess around with those things. There's like different paints that you can choose by adding them on there, downloading them, or whatever you want to do. If you would like to do that, you can, but you're not required to. Once you get all of the pieces made, we'll start assembling them. We're going to be applying 3 joints, or 3 different types of joints, 7 of them in total. If you click here beside joint, over in motion, you'll see that there's lots of different things to work with. We'll be using these first 3. The first one is a rigid joint. This one is what would stick something in place where it doesn't move at all. It doesn't have any degrees of freedom remaining. A revolute joint is what would cause like some rotation. Think about like hands on a clock or something. And then the slider is what's going to give these sliders the mobility among the rails that you have here. So let's start out by doing the sliders first. I think that's the easiest place to start. So we'll rotate a bit, go over to position, and you want to select this edge either on the left or the right side. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to select this one, and then I'm going to rotate to where I can see like this edge here where it would naturally touch there, and you can see it creates that sliding movement. If for some reason it doesn't end up there, like it ends up inside the shape or something weird that we know wouldn't work in reality, then I'll show you kind of how you can fix that. So we'll take this edge on this one just like before, and let's say I select this edge here. And now you can see it's going through the object. So I'm going to unselect the second edge that I grabbed and then rotate a little bit and grab a different one like that. And then if that doesn't fix it, just cancel it and try it again and try a different edge until you get it to work correctly. Once you get your sliders in there, I then like to take the slider pins and put them in the handle and then put the handle onto it. This time we're going to use a revolute mate. So I'm going to choose that one, come over to position, and I want to grab the bottom here of your pin, and we're going to attach that to the top of the hole of the handle like that. And you'll see it has some rotation with it immediately once you put it in there. So press OK. Then we're going to do the same thing over on this side and place it in the top here like that. Should get the same thing happening. Press OK. If not, press cancel and then try it again until you get the right thing. Now I'm going to attach these into here. Now what's really important is where we grab the pin. So we're going to keep that same type of joint, but you want to grab the pin here. Please don't grab it down here, otherwise the handle will be sticking up out of the object. We don't want that, so we want to grab here. And then bearing in mind, if you were to grab here instead of down here, your handle would end up going through your slider, which isn't realistic at all. So just be mindful when you're clicking on things, what would be realistic and what would not be. So clicking there. And then we'll add one more revolute. Right there. And then placing it in the other slider. Oh, whoops. Let's unselect that and re-grab it. There. Okay, I messed that one up, so we're going to cancel. You see, it's very easy to grab the wrong thing, and if you notice that you did as well, then just cancel it and try it again. That way you know you didn't grab the wrong thing. You don't have any weird constraints happening that you can't see. So just be careful when you're clicking. That's better. Click OK, and then you will see that they're in there together. Now you'll notice that if you try to grab the handle to see if it works, everything moves with it. You always want to make sure that you ground whatever your base is. We should have done that first, but sometimes I forget. So right click on your base and we're going to choose ground, and then we're going to choose capture position. What's happening here is without that ground, this thing is just like moving freely. Like imagine if there was no gravity happening on this at all, like it's just floating out in space, and then you try to use the handle, you're not going to get very far because it's not, there's nothing holding it still. So grounding it will hold it still, so then when you grab the handle, this is the only thing that we have moving. Or imagine trying to use something like this on a sheet of ice. Like the whole thing is probably going to slide around with you when you try to grab the handle instead of just these things moving. And then you have your handle here, your handle pin. We haven't attached that one yet, so we'll go ahead and add that. And this is our last type of constraint, the rigid that we're going to use today. Remember, the rigid is going to just hold it in place. You wouldn't want your handle pin to be able to move. So we're going to attach that one using this and this. It would be also possible to use this as a revolute as well. If you've ever had some sort of like fidget toy before, that might be a nice feature to have to where this spins within here as well. But once you have it all assembled, we'll then go to the exploded option. We're going to start here. We'll come over to design and we'll do an animation. Your screen will probably look like this when you start out. You won't have any animations yet. You can see I have a lot of them down here. You won't have any yet. So looking at this, we're first going to highlight everything. And what's really nice about this simple object is that we can come to transform. We can come to transform and do auto explode all levels, and it'll pull everything out for us. I do want you to turn the light bulb on so we can see the trails that it follows. Click the green check. And then we're going to come back to animation and choose drawing from the animation. Change your type to ASME, and then change your units to inches because you do everything in inches. And then if you had multiple explosions, you could choose which ones you wanted to use here, but you will only have one to choose from. So choose OK. And then it should populate that onto the sheet that looks very similar to the one that you used on the whole block when we made that section view. So we'll place that up here out of the way. You want it to be 1:2 scale, possibly 1:1. 1:1 might be too big though, so let's go with 1:2. And then we'll change the style to shaded. And this will really be nice if you customized yours in any way, shape, or form. You'll be able to see that with this shaded view. And then we'll press OK. And then for the last part, we'll come in and add that parts list. It should automatically select the original thing that you used. If not, if it's asking you to select something, you can just, so mine's automatic, but if you needed to, you could just select this thing that you placed in there and it'll grab that information. We'll add our parts list in here. And if you zoom in, you'll see the components of a parts list. Generally, we have item numbers, which are directly related to the order that you drew them or assembled them. Next is quantity. Notice you have 2 sliders, 2 slider pins. Instead of having 2 different ones drawn separately, you have the same thing repeated. A part number is generally going to be something like a serial number, and then your description would be more like slider pin, maybe have color, something like that. And then if applicable, you can have materials on there as well. And then if you zoom out, you'll see you also have balloons here, and those balloons are directly related to the item numbers in your parts list. If your balloons didn't populate, you can get that information from this button here. Once you have finished all of this, we'll screenshot this, and then you're going to come back to the activity where we have a Google slide presentation. You'll open that up, put your screenshot of your sheet, and then answer these 2 questions on the last slide.